So we're talking about our worth is already set. Now, one of the challenges when you come to a training like this is, I'm a life coach. I help you lose physical weight by addressing the mental weight first. So we get to the source of what's really going on. So I want to hear from you. What are your struggles right now? What are the things that you're struggling with the most? And okay, so you're struggling with relationships, how different people react, how we're struggling a lot right now with so much on the news, so much conflict. So who's really struggling with conflict? And I'd love you to put it in the chat of like, what are the things that you're personally struggling with? We see it, it's just simple. Just go on the internet, go on Instagram. There's so much conflict right now. There's wars. There's conflict within the US of like that recent shooting. What about inside of our families? What kind of conflicts are we having there? So maybe you're having um, difference of opinions, political views. I'd love to have this as put this in the chat. What's really going on for you? All right. So as we go through this training, I really want to help you see one of the biggest challenges I see in um, with everybody, actually. We're all struggling with this in some degree or another. And we are, and this is part of our biology. We all want to fit in the tribe. We all want to be accepted. We all want to feel like we belong. Okay. So in the chat, I want you to say, how often do you feel like you belong? Okay. And if this is like vulnerable for you, that's fine. I want to just approach this webinar. I've really structured it in a way that's more like a self-discovery. It's more of a way for you to really see where are you at right now and what's going on. So one of the biggest shifts when you come to a training like this is we've been conditioned since we were little to when we went to school, it was like you had to do it a certain way. And if you didn't do a certain way, you didn't get the certain mark. And so we have been conditioned to seek external approval. And I actually take it the opposite. Um, I'm here to help you learn how to create your own validation, your own approval. And when you do that, then you get your own belonging. So you don't have to get that approval from anybody else because your approval is the most important. So when I was a school teacher and I would make an assignment to my students and I'd say, okay, so what actually deems this an A plus? So I give them the assignment. I say, okay, what is an A plus? So they would come up with the criteria. You couldn't have any spelling mistakes. And if you had two spelling mistakes, it would be an A. And if you had five spelling mistakes, it would be a B, right? And so they came up with the criteria of what was acceptable. Now, one of the problems, and so the title of this workshop is your worth is not on trial. And the challenge we have is we have this society that says in order for you to be acceptable, you need to look a certain way. In order for you to be acceptable, you need to have like this kind of house, this kind of furniture, this kind of car, this kind of body, these kinds of kids, this kind of career, this number of Instagram followers, like all of these things, all these criteria. So then what happens is we get ourselves caught in difficulties like perfectionism. It's like I have to look a certain way in order for me to be acceptable. Um, I've written the 12-step perfectionist recovery program, and we're going to talk about that a little bit further. But the problem is if we are constantly being bombarded with, you have to be a certain way to be acceptable, then you don't actually ever belong to yourself. You never create your own experience of, oh, this is actually how I want to. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to write down what what was the message that was given to you as a kid of, in order for you to be acceptable, so in order for you to be worthy, what did you have to do? What was the criteria? Okay, I want you to think about it. And I'm just going to give you a minute or two. And if you'd like, you can put it in the chat and then we can share them. Now, this is a little bit difficult because you're actually with your own brain. And also, it's difficult because you're wanting other people to tell you what to think and what to do. Okay. So just be with yourself. Give yourself that grace. Okay. So as you're with yourself and you're asking yourself, what was it? Now, as you think about this now, how has that affected you to this day? Yeah, I had to keep my room clean, do my chores. And if you didn't, you weren't you weren't good enough, you weren't acceptable, you were less than, you were undesirable. Okay. So if you didn't reach that criteria, what did you end up doing? What were your coping strategies? So I have some visuals. So if you didn't do a good job, or if you felt bad, or if you felt like you weren't performing properly, um, we didn't know how to process our emotions. We didn't know how to like just recognize, oh, I'm feeling sad that my mom said that, or I'm feeling disappointed, or I'm feeling whatever that is. And we didn't know that that's just okay to feel sad because what were we taught when we were a kid? We were taught, you're crying, go to your room, or you're sad, here's a sucker, right? If you were at the grocery store, how common was that? That see, people would give us candy if we were sad, right? So as little kids, I would curl up in my bed. Yes. Quite often we would go to the pantry. So raisins were often found in the pantry. Um, Peanut butter, right? We'd often have peanut butter. And so often I would come home from school and grab a spoonful of peanut butter and just kind of lick that and kind of be with that peanut butter. I had these little bears. They were like my friends. Um, Another one that I would do, and I don't know about any of you, but this baker's chocolate, it's not even that good. But I would be gnawing on a little square of that, right? And it would just kind of like calm me down, like that biting kind of was had a sensation of like self-soothing. Um, what about coconut? How many of us had coconut in our pantry? I always, it's like now I always go for the pina colada like mix. Like I'm not a drinker, but like I love anything coconut-y, pina colada-y. And I'm sure it's because when I was a kid, I would just eat this because it had some sort of sweetness. I joke around saying that chocolate chips were mommy's medicine. And when I've been making dinner and stressed out, I would definitely go for that. So, as we're thinking about this idea as your worth is not on trial, I want you to think about the role of food as a solution for not knowing how to cope. And when you think about your worth, one of the ways that we have shown our worth as humans is through making a goal and achieving a goal. And so we're gonna talk about what are some of the goals that you created in your life? And just put them in the chat. So some of you made a goal to go to university. Some of you made a goal to get married and have kids. Some of you have a goal of a block of the month and a certain quilt. Maybe some of you have made a goal to learn free motion quilting. Maybe some of you made a goal to repaint your house. Okay, just think about all the different goals you had. Now, the question is, why did you make that goal? Was it because it sounded fun? Or did you make that goal because you wanted to be better? You wanted to improve. Now, this is where we get curious of did we make the goal because if we achieved it, then you would be better? Or did you make the goal because it would be more fun? So as you think about um, your goals, um, what happens when you make a goal to be better? What do you think is the fuel that fuels that goal? What is that? If I don't reach this goal, I won't be what? Finish that. If I don't if I don't get everything checked on my to-do list, I am what? Fill in the blanks. So if we're constantly having to achieve a goal because we need to be better, we need to become worthy, we need to be acceptable, that is fueled by pressure. It's like, I have to get this done. And if I don't get this done, and now think about our biology, okay? We were wired to belong to the tribe. But somehow we got the wires crossed of we have to like be more worthy, but we were already born worthy. Our worth came with us. So we're working out of a false pretense. Okay. So, but if we made goals because it's just more fun, we don't have to prove ourselves. We're just doing it because it's exciting and because it's like enriching and because it's like pushing us. What is that fuel? It's excitement, it's curiosity, it's a possibility. I want you to think about all the amazing inventions. One of the most amazing inventions is a washing machine and a dryer. My son was in Africa and he didn't have water for a while, running water where he was living. And he said, Mom, one of the worst things in the world is hand washing. He's like, it is like, if you want to punish the boys, like his brothers, he's like, you need to, that would be like an amazing punishment. Like to actually have to wash your clothes by hand, it's horrible. He's like, it's the worst ever. And his hands hurt and all of that. And so, aren't you so glad that someone was like, guess what? We're going to make life a little bit easier, a lot easier, and we're going to invent this machine. And if you look at the history, there's lots of different, like they had to fail a lot to get to where we are now. And now they even have washing machines and they also are dryers at the same time. So you can put your clothes in and you can wash it and dry it at the same time. I mean, in the same machine, I mean, like obviously. So I want you to think about this is kind of a journey, this webinar. I really want you to think about I want you to think the most recent time when you made a goal for yourself. Okay. So most likely it was a weight loss goal. If you're here with me, because we talk about weight loss, because weight loss is kind of the thing, right? Kind of calls you out. So let's say you made a weight loss goal. How are you doing on that goal? And just be honest with yourself. Now, let's let's think about when you make a goal. First of all, so which because we're talking about our worth is not on trial. So if you're making a goal because you want it just sounds more fun, then how is that going for you? But if you make a goal because you feel like if you don't achieve it, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're a failure, what actually happens when you're fueled by pressure versus being fueled by excitement, curiosity, possibility? So I want you to think about that right now and be honest with yourself. And by the way, isn't that amazing that you have prioritized yourself by coming to this training, by coming to this giving yourself this opportunity to grow? And as you can see, this is an opportunity for you to go inside of you and see what's going on for you. Because as a weight loss coach, who am I to tell you when to eat, what to eat, how to eat it? I don't know. I don't. How would I know your body? How would I know your history? How would I know all of your own thinking? You know you best. But if you're constantly looking at everyone else's telling you what to do all the time, then you never get to figuring it out for yourself, which is why diets fail. Because why would some expert know you better than you? Experts can give you tools like I do, and I'm going to be sharing that soon in the webinar and a special bonus for being here. But this is your own journey, and that's what is actually keeps people away from working with a life coach or someone like me because they actually finally have to start taking 100% responsibility for themselves. And that's terrible because they don't have a good track record. Okay. Because the reason they don't have a good track record is because they associate their goals and achieving them with their worth. So then it feels like the stakes are really high. Okay. So as you think about one of your recent goals, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to answer that question. I want you to answer, why haven't I achieved that goal yet? Why not? How much pressure are you putting on yourself? This is just really good to answer. So I'm going to tell a story, and so I have one of my siblings lost a bunch of weight, and she went to the Christmas. We have a Christmas, well, not anymore, but we'd go to my dad's for Christmas Eve, and she got so much attention, and we were kind of anyways. So I just wanted that same result. And I tried really hard and I would run and I would do a bunch of stuff, but I just wasn't losing the weight. And so before Christmas Eve, I actually went and bought a girdle. I'd never done that before in my life. And I was so worried about my muffin top and I was so worried about all of that. And I just didn't enjoy myself. I didn't enjoy it. I kept thinking about how thin she was and how I wasn't. And it was really frustrating to me. And I didn't really enjoy myself because I was constantly comparing myself to her. And years later, I got my own life coach, and I'll be showing some pictures of my own transformation. But um, the thing that was really interesting was I really wanted her approval because I wanted my own approval. And so, of course, I've lost this weight and I've kept it off. And at one point, she made a comment about how I needed to improve on something else on my body, how I did my makeup. And it was fascinating for me because I had spent so much time wanting to get her approval. And I realized at that moment that no matter what I did, if I didn't get my own approval of me, I can never wait for anyone else to give it to me because even when I had lost the weight, there was something else that I would have to get that approval on. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to write yourself a letter. And I want you to write this letter of belonging. And this is a really this isn't sexy, right? So like when you have like weight loss, it's like do these 5 things and you will guarantee this. And I'm going to be talking about it further on in the webinar on how to guarantee weight loss. But this kind of training, this kind of webinar is very, very different than what we've been accustomed to. Because what we've been accustomed to is it's like rah, 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 like do this, do that, you got this. But what we really need to talk about is let's talk about what is really going on. Um, because if you don't learn how to um, do this inside work, like the emotions, the belonging, the your worthiness, then it doesn't matter how many calories you ate. It doesn't matter, like you're spending all this time tracking your calories and steps, and you're ticking off all the boxes. But unless you really learn how to be with you, that's just busy stuff. And you're going to be so exhausted by the end of the day. you're not even going to realize you're eating that ice cream or those cookies. So, this is my challenge for you right now is I want you to write down what does it mean to belong to me? How do I know that I'm like how do I know I'm acceptable? How do I know I'm worthy? How do I know I belong to me? And these are kind of it's like, oh, I don't know. Am I going to get it right? Am I going to get it wrong? Right? Because the old programming of like, I got to get everyone else's approval, but we got to stop that. You got to get your own approval. And unless you get your own approval and your own, and like actually believe that you're worthy no matter what, nothing's going to change. You can do all the diets, you can do all the planners, you can do all the things, but unless you get your own approval, you're just going to put that weight back on. All right. I'm just going to give you a minute. All right. This is hard work to do because it requires you to be with yourself, not distract yourself. Okay. All right. So I'm very proud of you for doing this. I know it's a big deal, and I want you to just really give yourself so much credit. Okay. All right. So, what I want to do right now is I want to share with you what happens when you give yourself your own credit. Okay. I'm gonna, and I want you to, I mean, it's up to you. You can totally decide like how much you want to participate in the chat. Some of you, are, you have access to it and some of you don't. But what I want to do is I want to share with you, what actually starts happening when you start belonging to yourself. When you start embracing like, this is who I am. And I don't even really know who I am, but I'm like going to figure it out. And what starts happening when you strip away all the excuses? What starts happening when you start saying, I I recognize that I am eating more at the dinner table because I don't know what I'm going to do next. And so eating is just familiar. Or I eat more at the dinner table because this is my time to connect with my kids, my husband, my family. And so it's just really it's like a very like connecting experience. And I don't want that connection to go away. I don't want him to walk away. I don't want my kids to leave, or I don't want my grandkids, or I just want to keep prolonging this like this connection time because I don't know how to make a lot of connections for myself. So when I'm sharing these examples, I want you to think about, why are you overeating, or why are you eating more than what you need? And so the more that you can strip away those reasons, the more clarity you get. Yes, I've been doing well, I guess so. I fasted all day yesterday and I'm fasting today. And it was interesting because I was doing all of these reels. I was making these reels with like this food, and I'm smelling the raisins. It's bringing me back to lunchtime at recess at school. And it has all these memories, and I haven't eaten any of it. The coconut, the peanut butter, all of it. And it's been so interesting because I am not, I have learned the skill of not turning to the food. It's a skill. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in this in as we go. But I'm curious for you is, why do you think, because there's only two main reasons why we're overweight. Well, actually, the main reason is we're just eating more food than our body needs. That's the main reason. So we can talk about, um, also cortisol. Yes, it increases our insulin. Like, we can talk about that. But essentially, we are eating more food than our body needs. And our body is being a storage unit. And in order for us to lose the weight, we have to stop eating so much food so that our body can start using the stored energy. That's that's basically how it all works, okay? We try to make it all complicated, and we talk about our hormones, which I did a great class like a couple days ago on hormones. But essentially, that's it. That's the only reason why we're overweight, is because we have too much stored fat on us and we're not accessing that stored fat and we're not using it up. Because I mean, when I used up 50 pounds plus, and I've been keeping that off since 2019. And I don't count calories, I don't track steps, I don't do any of that. But I do weigh myself every day as feedback, and then I learn how to figure that out. Okay. So inside this program, so it is a mental and physical health program, and it's a lifetime access. Now, I'm finally connecting the dots between what's going on in here and what's going on in here. I met with a lady yesterday who, she realized, like, she's like, why are these pants not fitting? So she just go and buy a bigger pants, bigger shirt. And the other day she was getting changed and she looked at herself in the mirror and she said, who's that pregnant lady? She didn't even recognize her own body, because we become so disconnected from what's going on in here to our bodies. That was my same experience. So I was shocked when I would buy a dress. This is in my 20s. And I'm like, how is this dress a size 16? That doesn't make sense. I'm not a size 16. I was so disconnected from my body, my brain. I was all in here. And I wasn't realizing how often I was just feeding myself. And I was feeling I would eat so much more food than my body needed, because the more I could fill myself up with food, the less I had to feel emotionally. And I didn't know how to cope with my parents' divorce. I didn't know how to cope with being single and being like marriageable age. I didn't know how to cope with the stress of my work. I was a school teacher. I didn't know how to cope with being vulnerable and like all this the difficulties with my siblings. I didn't know how to cope. And so what I knew how to do was, I knew how to eat peanut butter, and I knew how to eat coconut, and I knew how to go to the drive-through and get Wendy's Frosties and remind me of my happy times as a kid after skiing trips. I knew how to do that. I knew how to give myself those quick dopamine hits, because that's what I was modeled. So inside this program, um, I have built it on 5 pillars. So I have been coaching women since 2020. No, not 2020, 2012. Oh my goodness. Yes, 2020. I've been coaching since 2020. And I have been, so I coached one-on-one, and then I coached groups of women over 3 weeks, 3 months, with learning. And so I've really honed this process. So the first thing we need to do to have this permanent change, so learn how to cope, learn how to use food in the way that it's meant to, is we got to take all the confusion out of weight loss. Like it's so mind-boggling. And like Instagram now, there's 50 million, oh, 50, no, what was it? I was on a training yesterday. It's insane how many users on Instagram there are now. Um, it is like there's so much. Oh yeah, there are 5.4 billion people on social media. That's 67% of our global population. And 58% of consumers first discover new businesses through social platforms. The social media platform, and like you scroll, there's like carnivore. You got to do carnivore. If you don't do carnivore, you're dumb. If you don't, oh, you got to do vegan. If you don't do vegan, you're missing the boat. Oh, keto. If you don't do keto, you're going to die early. Oh, plant-based. If you don't do plant-based, you're gonna have a heart attack and a stroke within 30 hours. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. And so it feels so confusing. And it's like, what do I even do anymore? So you get so overwhelmed, you just do what you always did. Peanut butter, right? So the more we can weight loss simple science is simple, the more that we can just get it so neutral, the better. Okay. And I'm really good at doing that and helping you with that. The second thing we do is we learn how to create our own eating plan and troubleshoot it. 100%. You know you best. But guess what? You don't know you best yet because you keep doing the keto and then the vegan and then the this and then the that. It's like Weight Watchers like lifer. So unless you actually start creating your own plan that works for you and your body and your life and your situation, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be sustainable. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, we need to learn how to feel our feelings instead of eating them or shopping or scrolling or people pleasing or saying yes when you really wanted to say no. You've got to learn how to feel those feelings, work through all of that stuff. And if you don't, you're just going to get back gaining that weight again because you're going to just keep going and eating that food. We need to learn how to be responsible for ourselves. So many of us go from like, I'm not good enough. That's the shame cycle to if I had a better mom, if I had a better this, I had a better that, that's the blame cycle. So a lot of us we just like, I'm not good enough. And so it keeps us from creating change. And I'm not, if I had a better upbringing, or if I had more money, or if I had less money, I would have been this. So we have to stop those. And I have tools inside this program that will help you to get out of that cycle quicker and quicker. And then the fifth thing we do is we learn how to build self-confidence. Now, a lot of you will say, oh no, she was just born with self-confidence. Look at her. No, no, no. No, we learn self-confidence. So, and we keep learning self-confidence. And you can see it. You can see people like Oprah Winfrey is still building self-confidence. And you think, what do you mean? She's this, blah, blah, blah. But she's always building that self-confidence because she's always growing and she's evolving. And her magazine, apparently it tanked and it just was like a money. So it wasn't, so she's always learning how to evolve and grow. So, and I teach the 3 steps on how to continue to build self-confidence. All right, so the proof is in the pudding. So don't take my word for it. So I can talk, and I can talk about my story. My story is, I love my story. I love what I've been able to create, the kind of body that I have, and all of that. But it's one thing for me to do it, but for to have other people, isn't that exciting? So here's Sue, and Sue has had a lifetime struggle with her weight, and she has. It's been incredible to watch her journey and to watch how far she's come. And, I think about what, like her being able to go skating and to be able to spend that time with her grandkids. She babysits her, so she has four grandkids, and she is able to have so much more energy and do so much with them because she's not carrying this extra 70 pounds. It's very exciting. Now we have Susan. And Susan, here, I move my picture here. So Susan didn't even realize how often she turned to food, and as she's looked at her life, she just can't believe the changes and her confidence, and she's learning how to be who she really wants to be, and it's very exciting. And so um, she's just it's awesome. I love watching it. I also have some really fun. Oops. Oh, I forgot to. Okay, I have to like stop sharing my screen. They didn't want me to share their name. So let me just share some of the. Um, One of them was I am down 11 pounds and my pants are fitting better. And maybe it's my imagination, but my muffin top doesn't look nearly as muffiny. I love that one. I'm celebrating myself. Sounds weird to even type these words. I made it finally to the 140s. Another one is I lost 5.2 pounds while on 8-day vacation. No mind drama. Another one is I've been back from almost 5 months away. It was too long. And then she said, with my mother-in-law passing in December, she's even been able to lose 5 pounds and so they're having these kinds of transformations because they're learning how to really look at what's going on. Okay. Okay, let me just keep going. Okay, so here's Claudia, and she's the one who has the less muffiny top, and it's just amazing to watch how she's making appropriate boundaries. She's dealing with in the way that she like talks to her kids and how she's structuring her day. She's getting more quilting done. And here's Deb. It's so fun to watch Deb and her transformation as she really looks at the way that she has used food in the past and how she's changing the way she looks at it now. A lot of times we think it's like these huge before and afters, and like, with Dad, like 80 pounds down, and with Susan, she's 80 pounds down. Sue is 70 pounds down. It's just like, oh man, that sounds so amazing. But it's fun because even someone like Kate, who, yeah, I think she's lost, I don't know, 20 pounds. But what's really been great, amazing for her is that she goes on trips. She cleans out storage lockers she goes through and gets rid of those physical things. She takes care of family members without resentment. She's following up on courses that she signed up for. She's pursuing her artistic dreams. She has deeper relationships with her spouse and family members. She's following through on commitments that she makes. She's going on adventures, like going to New York and going to Broadway and doing those things that she always wanted to do, and dressing up and enjoying that. She's able to say yes more. She has more um, energy. She has more clarity. She catches herself when she's scrolling or off task without beating herself up. She's embracing her aging identity. She's not fighting it, and she's allowing herself to create who she wants to be in all of that. So she is overall healthier and happier. We have Lori, doing really cool things. Like she was able to retire from her job and now is doing full-time quilting. She's going to guilds and she's teaching. She has award-winning quilts. They're going all over Canada and the US. She's making all these deeper connections. She's more adventurous. She has more energy. She's working through these different challenges. Now, one of the things that's really difficult is I'm like pretty much 100% like this is like AI generated. You can kind of have that AI feel. But so many of us want to see these typical before and afters. Why? Why is that? That we want, when I'm selling my program, what is it? What do we actually really want? We think that we want this toned, abs and muscle. We think that. But what do we actually want? We want to be healthy. And we want to be healthy so that we can do what we want. We want acceptance so then we can go on with our own lives and we don't have to worry about what other people think all the time. We want energy so that we can do what we want. That we can make a goal and we can trust ourselves we finish it. So essentially we want freedom to choose for ourselves what we want. So do we have to look like this to have freedom? I don't. I don't have chiseled abs. But do I have freedom? Could you have freedom even looking like this? Absolutely. Even like this, you could have freedom. Would you have as much energy as you want? Maybe not. But would you, if you could have freedom. This doesn't have to limit you. So this is and actually the photographer, she did some editing. You can kind of tell that she did some editing here. This is me probably at my heaviest. Um, and then this was me like last year. Same sweater. So what stops you from having the health, energy, and freedom that you want? So I have some questions. And this is the thing that's really challenging. So you have used food as the solution to your problem because food was the solution. You were sad, you went to the ice cream. That actually made you feel better, right? So food is not my problem. Food was my solution. So the problem was I didn't know how, maybe you didn't know how to talk to your daughter-in-law about how you felt, what she said. So what did you do? Because you didn't know how to solve that problem, you went to the food, you went to the ice cream to feel better. So the solution was the food because you didn't know actually how to solve the problem. So food is not the problem. So here, you're frustrated that you can't finish the quilt how you want it. So the solution was, let's bake some cookies and eat them. Because the problem was you didn't know how to feel disappointed or frustrated that you weren't getting the quilt done. So here's another one. So you're disappointed your quilt didn't get best in show. So food was the solution. Food, the solution to feeling better in that moment was to get a blizzard and the drive-through. So let's think about this. So this is me. It's a little girl. See, I do have red hair. Aren't I so cute? So you used food as the solution to the problem. So when I came home from school and my mom wasn't available to talk to me and have true connection, I figured out that I could get a spoon full of peanut butter and I could sit on the countertop and I could slowly eat that peanut butter and I could just be with myself and I could just connect with me and that peanut butter and these little bears. I figured that out. Was it a true connection? Not really, but it was the way that I knew how to connect. So when I think about all of us, how are we, what were we modeled as a kid to problem solve? When we are sad, here's a sucker, right? We only knew what we only knew. And the problem is, if you don't change your thinking, then you're still thinking like an 8-year-old. I'm still thinking as that little 8-year-old that came home from school and used the peanut butter. So I'm a 51-year-old, and if I didn't learn some new coping skills, I'm still going to go get that peanut butter. So this is why my membership is my program is so essential, because a lot of us are like, old dog, new tricks. Well, guess what? When we actually go into our brain and say, hey, why are we eating this peanut butter still? Why are we still doing this thing? Then we can start getting clarity. And you can now go back. So you don't have to. You can look like this. You can have this, the muffiny top or whatever. And you can actually start working on what's really going on. You can get curious and you can change. And the you could be the before and after. Now, so brain science. So as a life coach, I help you understand how the brain works, the lower brain, the higher brain. I'm really good at helping you understand your emotions, and I'm excellent at giving support. And because of this combination of brain science and actual physical science with emotions and support, it creates permanent change. It means you get rid of the old habits of going for the peanut butter and you create new ones like, let's do a thought model. Let's write this down. Let's slow down. Or even just simply, oh, I really want this peanut butter, but actually, what I really want is just to be calm. And I want to be able to feel like I don't want to have that jitter feeling. Okay, I can do some deep breathing here. I can just be with myself. So, inside the program, you will get listen, you get so much, but one of them is you get these modules that I created, and they walk you through everything you need to know to start like the 5 pillars that I talked about. Okay. And you get lifetime access to them. You also get calls. So I say to myself, all right, so if we keep using willpower and negative self-talk, you minus those, if you can get rid of those, you actually start getting what's called compassion and clarity. So through these 12 modules, you're going to learn the life coaching tools, the brain science, the physical science, like weight loss science is simple. You're going to learn all of that on repeat. And I actually add to those. And so in order for us to continue this learning process, we need to have, we need to so we start out with these modules that help you to get this programming, right? To start really going in and saying, okay, wait a minute, like let's go in deep, the subconscious, and start figuring that out. So there's some really practical tools. You also get a personal progress tracker. So you can keep track of where you're at, what's going on. Also, so you have these orientation videos. Now, just like a recipe, you can be given a recipe, but how do you make sure that you're going to be able to use that recipe and that it's going to turn out? Well, I'm really good at taking out the overwhelm and helping you to break down what's really required. And so what I've done is I have a 20 pounds down in 90 days, or until you take that 20 pounds off, guaranteed, money back guaranteed. And what I've done is I created this process of taking the 5 pillars and I've broken them down over 90 days. And I have created daily videos for you. In fact, I have 2 series of daily videos. The first 90 days, when you first meet me, you first come in, you get those 90 days. And they get an email, or sorry, a video, 4 to 7 minute daily videos will be sent to your inbox, and you get to just learn all of these 5 pillars. So I take the overwhelm out of this, and I guarantee it. Like if you do these things, you will lose that weight. So, how do I guarantee that success? Exactly it. And then the other thing we do is another troubleshooting is the 12-step perfectionist recovery. So if we have that all or nothing thinking, or the only way to get success is this way, we break it down. And I'm just finishing the videos actually. I'm making short videos that go with each recovery step. So those will be in there as well. So you might be worried, "Oh, I'm too old to change." Remember we talked about old dog, new tricks? No, you're not. So once you start learning how our brains work and how we can actually rewire our brain no matter how old we are, you will be amazed at what actually happens when you put yourself in the equation. So just like with the title of this webinar, it's like your worth is already set. You're already acceptable. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You don't have to you don't have to qualify yourself for anything or anyone. But what you do have to do is you have to do it for yourself. And if you don't do it for yourself, then no matter what you do, you're never going to change. So that's why this membership in this program is so powerful. So you might be worried, oh, I've failed in the past. Guess what? The more that you can be aware of your past failures, the more success you're going to have. Isn't that exciting? Because now you can go back to your past of like, so why did I fail? Why did I eat that peanut butter? Why did I have that ice cream? And so now you can go into your own brain and get that wisdom from past failures and use those as like so much goodness, right? You can use that. You can use that to your advantage. I've spent so much time and money already on weight loss. Awesome. Let's do it. Let's use all of that, all of that time, all of that money to your advantage. Now you have tools that can say, hey, what do I need to do to change? And so you said, oh, that didn't work in the past. Perfect. Now I can use that to my advantage. I've, again, failed so much in the past. Again, and it's so fun to see Maury. She's lost, I don't know, 50 pounds and doing all sorts of cool things with her life. Um, so what about you're worried, oh, if I join, but if I miss calls, don't worry. We have all the replays. We have so many replays. If I join, what about if I feel embarrassed about my struggle? Guess what? You're going to be so relieved when you hear all these other people's stories and realize, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. This is incredible. These other women are experiencing the same thing. So it takes the shame out of all the struggle, and that's okay. What if you're like, okay, I buy this, but then I don't watch the modules and I don't do the worksheets. Well, guess what? I have a bunch of videos. So, and then when you first join for the first 12 weeks, I send you a weekly update on, hey, this is module 1. This is what we did. Hey, this is module 2. This is 2. This is what we've done. So you get up to date weekly encouragement calls for the first 12 weeks. I also have inside the program, I have 911 videos. So if you are feeling like, oh no, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I have a 911 video for you of like, oh, okay, I got you. Now, of course, we're all going to make our own decisions. I can't make you do anything, just like you can't make your kids clean their room. You can lead a horse to water, but you can be proactive, and that's where I'm here for you. So if I join, what about being uncomfortable to ask for help? Well, you can ask anonymously. If I'm too shy to ask for help, again, you can use Ask a Coach. You can ask me any question anonymously, and I'll get back to you. What about if I'm feeling overwhelmed? Again, We break it down in the 90 days. And then, so once you go through the first 90 days, then the next 90 days is another whole set of videos that help you to continue to build on these 5 pillars. So, what is perpetual weight loss and broken promises costing you in the quality of your life? And how much time, energy would you get back when you learn how to resolve weight loss struggles? Because weight loss is not a one and done. Weight loss is just like brushing your teeth or with like doing laundry. Because what's really behind weight loss is, how do I solve problems? Instead of, how do I stop going to the peanut butter? Or how do I stop eating the ice cream at night? That's what we need to focus on. And so as you learn these problem solving skills and these strategies, it's like you're learning how to do that every day. And then you'll build that new skill and then you move on. It's so exciting. And I didn't even say what the cost of the program was. So the cost of Love Yourself Thin is the program is $2,000. Well, it's $1,998. We also have a payment plan. And so if you purchase right now on this call, you will get a one-on-one call with me where I walk you through. You do an input form, and in that input form, you give me all of your detailed information. You have this whole form to fill out, and then I will meet with you personally, and I will dissect. This is what you do on this module. This is like a triage. Like, these are your main problems, and I'm gonna detail what you need to work on in what order, and then highlight what module. You also will get, if you join within the next 48 hours, you get the book bonus. So you will get the 12-step perfectionist recovery program sent to you along with the 90-day workbook. So that's an amazing offer, and it's very exciting to offer that to you. All right. So what questions do you have for me? So inside the membership, there are only women in the membership. Another question that's often asked is, when are the calls? So the calls are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it's best to come live. But if you want the replays, they're always there. They're always available. Another question is the payment plans. So if you want to go, I will show you. Oops. So you can purchase in Canadian or American funds. So let me share my screen. All right. So if you go down in here, there we go. Yeah, so American here, and these are the payment plans. So you could do 24 months of $98, 8 months of $289, 4 months of $548. All right, and then Canadian obviously is the other one. So, all right, any other questions? I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy we're able to spend this time with us together. And most importantly, I'm so happy that you spent this time with yourself, because ultimately you are the only one that can make your own changes. But you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to feel that you're this is the trouble, is that we have been relying on other people to tell us what to do and when to do it and how to do it for so long that it feels so scary to be left on our own. But just like if you had a baby, yeah, it was hard. You hadn't been a baby, you hadn't been a mom before, but you figured it out and you kept figuring it out because that baby kept growing and evolving and changing. And you gave yourself permission to do it because you needed to take care of that other human. And I want you to do the same thing for yourself. And that's what makes my program so amazing and powerful. It also makes it really hard because you're finally having to, like, the buck stops here, right? Like, you are having to take that responsibility for yourself. I know that's hard, and that's okay. Um, we're always evolving and growing, but that's the beautiful thing is that we are finally letting ourselves grow. We're finally letting ourselves evolve. And so I'm thrilled that you're here. I want to encourage you to stay committed to yourself. The fact that you're here on this training tells me so much about you. It tells me that you're ready to change, and it tells me that you know that we're done with the quick fixes. We're done. They don't work. Well, they work for a short time, but they don't create that permanent change that you crave. So I'm here to support you, and I can't wait to follow you on this journey. So for more information, of course, you go to daratomasson.com. Um, any other questions? All right, we'll see you